There are, luckily in our country, very outstanding civil servants who have intellectual integrity, who have professional pride, and who, though they are government servants, will do the right thing by the country. There are two such officers in the Reserve Bank of India. One of them is Mr. S.R.K. Rao, Dr. S.R.K. Rao. The other is Mr. A. Session. They wrote a paper recently, which I hope the Indian Merchants Chamber will circulate so widely that every intelligent citizen reads it. They point out that India is in the danger zone and may soon enter the debt trap. Now, what is the debt trap? The debt trap is a situation where you have to borrow more monies merely to pay the interest charges on your existing borrowing. It's like a company which has borrowed 10 crores, but is not able to pay the interest on 10 crores. So it borrows more and then pays the interest out of the fresh borrowings. If any company were conducted on the lines on which the government of India runs, it would have gone into liquidation long ago. It's only the inherent strength of the people, strength of this nation, which keeps such a policy functioning year after year. Now, the debt trap, therefore, is the situation where you have to borrow merely to pay interest charges. And, as the Reserve Bank officials point out, a stage is then reached when you are not able to borrow more with a view to pay the interest charges. So then you start printing currency notes, and then you pay the interest because people won't lend you any more money. Don't think this is a hypothetical situation. Great countries, at least as intelligent as India, frankly, in terms of real results, more intelligent than India, have come to grief precisely on this count. Take Germany, one of the most intelligent nations on earth and one of the most disciplined. They reached a situation after the Second World War when if you wanted to buy 1 pound of butter, you had to take a wheel cart, a wheelbarrow, put the currency notes there and take it there because you needed billions, literally billions of marks to buy 1 pound of butter. The inflation rate became million% higher every week. So it was a mind-boggling situation. In fact, the government paper was worth nothing, and the government kept on printing more and more paper with a view to paying the wages, because how else could the people be paid? And people would run during the lunch interval to buy goods, because if they waited till the evening, the price would be higher. Take Israel, only 2 years ago, 1986, one of the most intelligent nations on earth. You can't easily fool a Jew in money matters. What was the situation Israel reached 2 years ago? Inflation of 200%. Why 200%? Because of the debt trap. The people were no longer willing to lend money to the government. The government started printing currency notes, and the inflation of 200%. It went to 300%. Now it has been brought under control. Therefore, other countries have gone through this. I won't multiply examples what happened in Argentina, Bolivia, Peru, etc. But number of countries have had this experience. And I am afraid the great confidence of our ministers that nothing will happen to this country is totally wrong. The Reserve Bank officials are right, and the finance minister is wrong, if I may say so with great respect to him, when he thinks that this is an imaginary evil. And Mr. A. Session points out that if we go on at the present rate, by the year 1992-93, that means in 4 years' time, our interest burden will be more than the fresh borrowings. In other words, we won't be able to borrow enough even to pay the interest charges. What is it if not a debt trap? This, to my mind, puts the nation at risk. And I think the people must know what the facts are. If you are here 4 years later, and if the present policy continues, you will find that the Reserve Bank's prediction is right. I repeat, it's not as if the government is without competent advice. It has got all the talent available in the world in this country, all the knowledge, expertise. The only question is, are they willing to take advice? Economists will tell you how they were called by the finance ministry a short while ago. Number of them, prominent industrialists, prominent economists, I won't mention names. They went there, not one single suggestion has been accepted in the budget. That's why I have refused to write any piece on for any newspaper to say what the budget should be like, because it's absolutely an exercise in futility. Nobody pays any attention here. It's a deaf government. They think that all the knowledge is concentrated in the North Bloc, and the rest of the country are ignoramuses who have nothing to contribute, nothing to suggest. It's the exact opposite of the system prevailing in mature democracies like the United States, Canada, UK, where professors, thinkers, economists have a very important role to play in the shaping and framing of the country's policy. Not so here. So the indebtedness is, to my mind, the greatest danger springing from this budget. I would put secondly, the wastage and the extravagance. The wastage and the extravagance of our government is beyond belief. The Economist said the other day that Pakistan is a rich country with a poor government, and India is a poor country with a rich government. This is very true. The way our government spends money, you would think it's one of the wealthiest governments in the world. Instead of using my own words, let me just use the words of very distinguished public officials who belong to the tribe I referred to earlier, of men of professional integrity, who will speak the truth, irrespective of their personal promotion, personal advancement. Let me quote Professor K.N. Raj. He was a member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Prime Minister at that time was Mrs. Indira Gandhi. He wrote in 1984 that the poverty eradication programs which had been started in Mrs. Gandhi's time, he noted that they were becoming very popular, and I am quoting his exact words. The poverty eradication schemes have become a lucrative industry, giving the largest returns to the promoters. And the second sentence, after a few more words, the enthusiasm which the poverty eradication program has aroused is explained by this phenomenon. Now, so when you read in the papers that poverty is to be eradicated, please remember this sentence: the largest returns are to the promoters. And this is very true. It's not only Professor K.N. Raj. Everybody who has applied his mind to the problem has come to the same conclusion. Take Dr. Chalaya, Raja Chalaya, who is today a member of the Planning Commission, our present Planning Commission. He made the report on black money where he points out that one of the great sources of black money is the poverty eradication program. Because lots of large sums change hands untaxed. And the research workers whom he had engaged reported, and that's mentioned in the report, that between 50 and 80% of the poverty eradication programs never reach the target group. They are just swallowed illegally by people in charge of the program. I'm not saying it happens only in India. Government by definition is such an agency that unless the people are very alert, things will go wrong. Just as they will go wrong in a company where the top management is not alert. Mr. H.V.R. Iyengar, when he presided over my budget talk in the last year of his life, mentioned that his experience of 45 years in government had convinced him that at least 40% of the government expenditure goes down the drain.